What other components in a solar system, so to speak, do you need to consider?
Along with your mounts, which have to be strong and heavy, you may end up spending half as much on your mounts as you spend on your solar panels. So a lot of people are surprised by that, but they are not. Good ones are not cheap, and bad ones will break your solar panels. Wire is tremendously expensive. More people are going with 48-volt systems now instead of the old 12 or 24 because you can run smaller gauge wire, and copper has gotten brutally expensive. You may need 100 to 200 foot runs of 2 to 4 wires to get that to your house. You will want lightning protection, lots of grounding rods. These are called balance of system, these components, and they will cost you probably more than your solar and your wind, or your solar or your wind. Balance of systems should be budgeted as 1/3, solar 1/3, and wind roughly 1/3.
Yeah.
The other thing you're going to need for any charging input, such as solar or wind, is a charge controller. Your batteries can't be overcharged or they will be destroyed. So you need a controller that can measure what your battery voltage is, how much power it needs, and regulate the incoming voltage to match the battery's needs. When the batteries are full, cut it off. And just keep the batteries at a float charge, like about 24, 25 volts in our case. You do that through use of a charge controller. I recommend getting a multi-point power tracking charge controller, which is a big name for a very small controller and quite expensive. It will cost you 4 times as much as a dumb controller, but they're really smart. One of the things about solar panels is they produce a tremendous amount of voltage above their rated voltage, especially in winter when it's really cold out and they're operating efficiently. A nominal 24 volt panel like ours is producing 35 to 36 volts. Well, normally that excess voltage is just chopped off. It's wasted as heat at the charge controller. But an MPPT, multi-point power tracking controller, will convert it. It will use a transformer, a DC to DC voltage converter, and actually down convert that voltage till it's just about 1 volt higher than your current battery level. And that's all you need is for the electricity to run downhill is about 1 volt. And then the excess voltage, that extra 12 volts or so that it's producing, it will convert into amperage. And that's what your batteries are hungry for, is amps. So an MPPT charge controller will produce 25 to 35% additional electricity into your batteries over a less intelligent charge controller. You're adding the equivalent of 2 to 3 solar panels to your array for about $300. And that's the best cost-effective, and it makes the most difference in winter when the panels are cold and running really high voltages. So it's probably the best thing you can do to increase the efficiency of your solar system without actually increasing its size.
So with these systems, what type of maintenance is involved for solar?
If you have tiltable mounts, about twice a year you go out there and you tilt the mounts so that they're most perpendicular to the sun. A summer setting and a winter setting is what we go with. If you're really nuts, you can go out and do 3 or 4 different settings through the year, but I find 2 is adequate. Brush the dirt off them once in a while if they look dirty. Brush the snow off them when they have snow on them. That's it for solar.
What's the average life expectancy of a solar system?
Nobody knows. As I said, they're warranted for 40 years. I would expect them to live longer than we do.